Evil Squid Comics Podcast, Episode 7, Season 2.
Episode 7.
Oh, 7. What is it overall in Season 2?
What? Episode 7.
When you rebooted, what is it overall?
I don't know. I think we're like at 60 or 65. I don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea. Good question, but I don't know the answer. Anyway, I'm Drew.
I'm Don.
I'm Scott.
Scott is zooming. Hopefully you can hear him okay. I know it's a little tricky with the...
You want me to yell?
No, you don't need. I'll just turn up the volume a little bit. So anyway, every couple weeks, we try and get together and talk about comic books and movies and TV shows. Mostly comic books. That's our focus, but we definitely get sidetracked onto the TV shows and the Netflix and Tiger King, whatever we happen to be experiencing that week. So anyway...
Speaking of,
see, we just jump right in.
Have either of you guys been watching that, The Last Dance?
I watched most of the first episode because Matt was texting me telling me how great it was. I needed to watch it.
Good.
I haven't because I do not have ESPN.
And yeah. No, I can stream it on ESPN because I have cable, whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I started watching the first episode. It's pretty interesting.
I've heard it's really good though.
But I told Matt like
right from my era,
right, exactly.
And stuff.
I've watched through 4, so because they release 2 every Sunday, so I've watched all 4 episodes that have been released.
Well, I told Matt that like we went to the IMAX in Hutchinson, the Cosmosphere, and we saw that Jordan documentary about like his last season, the last finals or whatever. And I said, he's like, yeah, this is like the same thing, but they've expanded it to like 10 episodes. Because I guess they said it in the documentary, they gave a camera crew full access that last season. And so they basically took that thing we saw way back 20 years ago and they've expanded it to like even more information.
Yeah, because it goes back.
It goes all the way back. It's like
all the way back
the first
to like
episode
high school
and was college and all that stuff.
And they do it with like the first episode was a lot of Jordan, and then the second episode was Pippen, and then a lot of Pippen, and then third and fourth were a lot of Rodman. A lot of Rodman and Pistons and just the history of the Bulls and the Pistons, and they actually got to, I think, when they played the Lakers and finally won their first national championship.
Oh, yeah. Was that against the Lakers?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, they used to always get beat by the Pistons. They could never get to the finals.
Right.
Like, the Pistons beat them, like, so many years in a row, and they just couldn't get past it because the Pistons were so good. And then finally, they broke past the Pistons and were able to win the whole shebang.
Yeah, I think they swept the Pistons.
They did.
Pretty sure. They finally
did in 91. They swept the Pistons. Well, it was funny, interesting in that. So, like, they got beat pretty bad in 80, because the Pistons won back-to-back. They won 89 and 90.
Okay.
They won national championships. Like, they were the winners. But, like, in 90 or 89... Anyway, the first year, they just beat the crap out of the Bulls. And then the second year, they took them to a Game 5. And they ended up losing. And then, so, in the thing, they were saying that after they got beat, Jordan was like, we ain't taking summer vacation. We're going to train. Because Jordan said, I'm tired of getting beat up by the Pistons. He's like, I'm bulking up. I'm putting on weight. I'm going to fight back. And they were saying that Jordan had never weight trained ever.
Yeah, I remember reading that many years ago, that he had to bulk up because the Pistons were just beating the crap out of him.
Yeah.
Because they had, like, Bill Laimbeer, and he was just a freaking goon, and they had, Isaiah Thomas, obviously.
Dennis
Rodman, yeah.
And,
it's funny.
Was it John Sally?
That sounds right.
Yeah,
but
I think so.
But yeah, and they even said that, like, the Pistons had Jordan rules. It was basically, they had a set of rules just for Jordan. They were called the Jordan rules, how they played Jordan. And I mean, it was basically, if you're going to try to dribble or score, we're going to hurt you and make you pay for that 2 points. Is it worth 2 points to possibly get seriously injured? It was what they said, but...
Well, it's funny because I was watching that first episode and they were talking about his college days. I didn't realize he played with James Worthy, who is the Lakers guy, on the same team for North Carolina. And they were like, when Jordan got there, like James Worthy was the star. You know, he was the star player, not Jordan. You know what I mean? And it's like,
well, it was funny too because what's his name? The guy that coached KU forever. Brown?
Yeah, Roy
Or
Thomas.
Roy. What's his name?
Is it not Roy Thomas?
No, it's not Roy.
I don't know. I don't know.
Anyway, he was at North Carolina when Jordan was there.
Yeah.
And I think he made that comment because he was like, he came in and Jordan was like, I want to be the best person on this team. And he's like, and he said to him, he's like, well, you're going to have to work hard. And he said, but I worked hard in high school. And he goes, I'm sorry, I thought you said you wanted to be the best player, you know? And then he also gave him a compliment because he said Michael Jordan was the only guy that he ever coached that could turn it on and turn it off, and he never turned it off. But anyway, that whole show I think is just cool because like that was when I started watching. That was
there. Yeah, I think we all started. We all grew up on that era.
It's really kind of cool, but.
You couldn't grow up and watch basketball during that time and not be like a Jordan fan.
Right, and a Bulls fan. And it was just so crazy because at that time, after they won that first championship, I mean, they would play a game and you basically knew they were going to win almost every, game. Like, it was fun to watch them because they always delivered. Yeah.
And now I watch teams now, I'm like, oh. Dang, they don't always win like Jordan.
Right.
It's like, what?
Well, not every game.
Not every game, but they always...
In the finals.
Yeah, once they started winning finals, they always won. Except when Jordan retired and then he came back that half season.
And they lost for 2 years.
Yeah,
and then they came back and won 3 more, and then they broke them up.
Yeah.
Which that's just... We were talking about that at work today, because another guy that I
What if they hadn't broken them up?
Yeah, I know, right?
What if they just let it ride for a couple more seasons?
Or if Jordan would have kept playing, too.
Yeah.
Well, that's...
Taking that time off.
Well, that was the thing, though.
Exactly. We hadn't taken that year and a half off.
Right. That one guy, not the owner, but the Jerry Krause, the guy that
manager,
the manager, because they went to
the GM.
Yeah, they went to what's his name, Phil Jackson, that last year,
and said, "This is your last year."
And said, "I don't care if you win 62 games and a national championship." I think
he said 82 games.
82 games, whatever. I don't care if you don't lose a game and you win a championship. This is your last year coaching here.
Yeah, I don't know why that was.
Because it was so much money. Because they were paying Rodman, Pippen, Jordan, Jackson. I mean, that was it. I mean, they were saying they were dumping like $80 million a year. But if you're winning a national championship, you got to be recouping that money. You got to
be making money. But you always think, how can you cut your costs?
And rebuild? And they're like, this is a great time. But then Jordan was like, he's like, I won't play for another coach. If Jackson's gone, I'm not playing.
Yeah. Well, it is tricky. I mean, because as a team manager, because you can, if they stop performing, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you can get to a point where you have a huge payroll and all your guys are declining and you're stuck with it and you can't get out of it because you got to try and trade them and nobody will take them because they're not performing. You got this huge contract. So there are...
Or anything.
Yeah, so there are situations you have to look at that from a management and a money standpoint. But yeah, I know what you're saying. I wish they could have found a way.
Yeah. Anyway,
it would have been interesting.
It's a cool show. I'm really enjoying it. I mean, it's right in my wheelhouse, so I just sit down.
Well, and it's kind of taking that style of the 30 for 30 type documentaries. Too.
Exactly,
and all those tend to be good.
Yeah, they just expanded it. There was one of the other. I think it might have been in the first episode when they played. I think they were. Who were they playing? They were playing somebody. Oh, the Celtics in the playoffs, and they beat them the first game. The Celtics won the first game, and then that next day, Danny Ainge and Michael Jordan went to play golf together.
Yeah.
Did you see that part?
No.
They go. It must have been the second episode, but they go after
I didn't finish the first episode.
After they go to they play the first game. The next day, Danny Ainge and Michael Jordan are playing golf, and Danny Ainge is like, they're interviewing Danny Ainge, and he's like, yeah, we played golf. He's like, yeah, I took a lot of money off of Jordan playing golf, and we were really kind of rubbing it in about how we beat him the night before. He goes, in hindsight, yeah, we probably shouldn't have done that. Because game 2 is the one where he came out and scored like 55, 58 points. They still lost. Like, the Bulls still lost, but Jordan scored like, 55, 58 points, and they're like, oh my God. But yeah, Ainge was like, yeah, I shouldn't have opened that door. Because they didn't know what he was capable of doing.
School him up.
Yeah. But anyway.
Cool. So Don brought Kudad, which is...
Is it Kudad or Ciudad?
Ciudad, Kudad, I don't care.
Oh.
But I think you have to actually say it with like a Hispanic or Spanish accent, you know? Because there's a guy at work I work with who's Hispanic, and he can. I told him what it was called. He's like, "Oh yeah," and he said it like the way that you're supposed to be.
Gotcha. I just always called it Ciudad.
Ciudad, but it means city, basically.
Gotcha.
Is what the word means.
Did everybody watch Extraction then?
Yes, I think we did.
I
right?
did.
I did too.
So yeah. All right. So what do we think of Extraction?
I thought it was good. I really liked it.
It was a good Netflix movie. It was good action.
I mean, it was one of the better Netflix movies I've seen.
It was almost like, that could have been in the theater. I think.
I feel like Netflix is upping their game.
It definitely could have
Their
been.
movies feel like they can pretty much... The quality is there.
It had very much of a John Wick feel, with the action scenes and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Continuous cuts and things.
Yeah.
Or continuous, what would you say, just action going on.
Correct.
Yeah, it got brutal. I mean, there were a couple parts where I was like, damn. Just with the violence and stuff or whatever. Not that it doesn't offend me, but I mean, it was pretty strong. Like, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it was very violent. Like, it would definitely be an R-rated.
Very constant. Just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it was well done. Like, it's just a pure action movie. So, I mean, I don't know how well it would have done in the theaters if it had been released. But it might have been.
So, you've read the book? Did I hear Drew say you read the book, Scott?
Yeah, I did at one point in time. But
it's been a while? So,
should we go ahead and talk about the book?
Well, that's fine, but I just want to talk about the differences. So, like, the one thing that really threw me...
Wasn't it a female he was saving?
Yeah.
Instead of a little kid, a little boy?
And it wasn't India, it was like some South American country, right?
Right. So do you guys know the full background? Like, have you read Andy Park's, Facebook post about how the whole project broke down? Like, do you guys know the background?
Not all of it.
I just knew it involved the Russos. And
right. So I guess at some point, whenever that came out, was it like 2012, 2011?
Sure.
Anyway, at some point, the Russos contacted Oni Press and said, we have this idea, we want to do a graphic novel, and then we want to do a movie. And so Andy Parks had done some writing for Oni, and so they were like, hey, we think he'd be a really good fit. And so they contacted Andy, and so then he actually flew to like LA or whatever and hung out with the Russos. And from the very beginning, it was always going to be, they came up, they were like, we're going to come up with like a basic story, and then you go off and write your graphic novel, and then we're going to go off and write a screenplay. So they were kind of two separate projects, but they were all conceived like with three people. And
What's
then they
the
kind
point
of
of
just
that?
branched off. I don't know.
Like, why wouldn't the Russo brothers just write a screenplay? Why did they want a graphic novel? Maybe just to sell it better?
I don't know.
Because then you got, like, a finished product that you can show to movie executives, say, hey, this is kind of, you got your storyboards already done. You can kind of see
That's what I'm thinking. You already have your storyboard almost taken care of.
Yeah.
It's an interesting way to do it.
Well, making a little money maybe on it, too, depending on what kind of agreements they signed up for.
Yeah.
Because the Russo brothers, I mean, Civil War or Winter Soldier was their first big movie.
I think so, yeah.
And that was prior to
was
2012. What's that?
I think it was Winter Soldier.
Yeah. What did they do before that?
They did a lot of TV.
That's right. They were Game of Thrones guys, weren't they?
Well, I don't know if they were Game of Thrones guys. They did Community.
I don't know if they were that.
Community, I think.
They did do Community.
And then there were like some other stuff. I mean, there were like 10 TV shows that they got like greenlit or whatever. I don't remember what they all are, but the thing that really threw me, because I watched the movie before I read the book. I've had that book forever, and I just never sat down and read it.
They directed you, me, and Dupree.
So it was funny. I knew it was dropping on Friday, and so I came home Friday afternoon, night, whatever, and I said to Barbara, I'm like, hey, do you want to watch Extraction? And she's like, yeah, I do. And I'm like, well, do you know? And she didn't know anything about it.
I didn't even tell my wife it was based on a graphic novel.
Yeah, she didn't know anything that Andy had written a novel or anything like that. She'd just seen the previews on Netflix and said, this looks like a cool movie. So we sat down and watched it. And then Like I said, I hadn't read the novel, but the thing I didn't like about the movie was it starts out with him dying on the bridge, and then
Did he
all
die, or
flashes
just looked
back.
like he was dying?
Well, see, that's the thing. I mean, so you know what I mean? Like, it started out in that we lost Scott.
We did? How did we lose Scott? Maybe he'll come back.
Freaking Zoom.
Friggin' Zoom.
Friggin' Zoom. Zoomity Zoom. Stand by. We are experiencing technical difficulties.
Who said that?
I did.
Oh.
I'm talking to our
Gotcha.
Facebook feed that nobody. We should let people know.
They can follow our Facebook page. It should, if they follow our page, it should alert them that we're.
Alert them.
The computer's having trouble.
Like I said, I hadn't read the novel. Man, that's back. There's a lag.
Is there?
Apparently.
Interesting.
What did Jack do? Extraction pops right up. What? David Lynch. Do you know anything about this? It's only 17 minutes long. What did Jack do? A detective interrogates.
Hey, Scott. What happened on your end? Anything? Or
I don't know.
all right, I think my laptop lost its Zoom connection, so I'm doing it on my iPad now. So we'll see. Maybe that works better.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll give that a whirl. All right. So Coodad, Don was rambling on about it.
Well, no, I was saying in the movie.
Okay.
I'm sure he loved it.
Starts with Chris Hemsworth dying.
Right. I didn't like that they started out with Chris Hemsworth dying, and then you go backwards and work your way forward because
I thought he was just all shot up. I didn't think he was dead.
Well,
he was all shot up, but he was kind of spitting some blood there.
Well, that doesn't mean he's dead.
Well, and then that's the thing at the end.
Movie.
So that kid gets rescued. Spoiler alert: the kid gets rescued, and he dives into the pool, and then he floats down to the bottom. And then when he comes up, there's a figure distorted in the background.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So that could have been Chris Hemsworth, or what I thought. So that whole movie. Well, there was that scene where Chris Hemsworth goes down into the water. And doesn't come out and sits down there, and that was kind of how he found peace, I guess. Sure, you would say. Yeah. And so I thought you could take it to where that kid did the same thing because he went down there and sat down at the water and then came up, and maybe that was just his that was his safe place, and he imagined that he was behind him.
He was a ghost.
It was a ghost.
No, I don't know. But that was a weird end scene, though.
Yeah, but in the book, he does survive in the book. Right. He gets shut up and he survives. Yeah. And in the book, he's the one that goes back and actually kills the
drug dealer.
The drug dealer. He goes back and kills the drug dealer, and then he's defined because he writes a letter to the girl in the book. So I don't know. Yeah, they could have left it open for a sequel. It was very murky towards the end because you couldn't tell who the figure was in the back. But
I kind of like that indie type of ending though myself.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem
to your interpretation.
Right. What else?
Especially for that type of film where it was just pretty much action.
Yeah.
Type of scenario, and ultimately the real prize was saving the boy, which they did.
Right. The book was a little
collateral damage.
The book was a little confusing as far as like characters, like because they had the guy that was the lawyer that hired him and then double crossed him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in the book, I don't know. I had to go back and read it a couple times. Like if I hadn't seen the movie and kind of knew the basic plot line, like I think
Did you watch the movie before you read the book?
Yes, I did.
Holy crap!
Yeah, I said that.
That's opposite.
At the beginning.
You already mentioned that
of the podcast.
I didn't remember that.
Right.
Hey, so is it pretty accurate then? Because I haven't read the book forever.
It is not. Well, so
other than the setting changing and the boy being a girl,
yeah, it pretty much follows the same.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
But
from what I remember,
there was one thing where Andy Parks had said in his Facebook post that he wrote, where he said that there was one scene in the novel that was too graphic that they didn't want to put in the movie. And the only thing that I saw that was really different, which may have been why they changed it from a girl to a guy, was the part where he, after he rescues her and they go to his friend's house and hang out there, the guy that tries to double cross him, she starts getting sick to her stomach and throwing up. And he had given her whatever, an after abortion pill or whatever you call it. And so she was getting sick. And he said in the book, he's like, that's just standard procedure if you've been kidnapped because we didn't know if you got raped, blah, blah, blah. So I gave you these pills and I didn't tell you that I gave you these pills. So,
yeah.
And I think that was the only really thing that I saw that was different. And so I don't know if that's what he was talking about in his post.
Could be. It's not that graphic.
Yeah, I know.
And it seems like every movie wants to have at least one vomiting scene these days.
Well, yeah, I don't know. He did say in his post, there was this, and if you ask me, I'll tell you what it is. But, I mean, for the most part, that's the only really thing that I saw that was different, other than the gender change.
Cool.
And the setting, the city or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know why they changed from South America to India.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
It's weird. But, I mean, right down to the part where, the character, the kid that gets kidnapped, whichever one it is, I mean, in both versions, they go to the nightclub and they go outside and they're smoking a joint and the cop comes up, shoots him in the head. You know what I mean? That's how they kidnap. I mean, that was like right there in the book and the thing. I mean, that scene played out.
Cool.
So, I don't know.
I don't either, man.
I really enjoyed it.
Cost and just overall setting, and things of that nature where they could get the rights for filming could have been cheaper in India than say South America or something like that. Who knows? I don't know.
Could be. Yeah, I don't have no idea. Did they film
Especially
it?
for as long as that thing kind of was in development hell, type stuff compared to when that book came out.
Yes.
I'm sure different ideas floated around.
Cool. Yeah, so like I said, I don't remember the book that well. I thought the movie was decent.
Yeah. But other than the setting change and the main character, the movie pretty much followed the book.
Cool.
I mean, you're not going to get a whole lot out of either one.
Yeah, well, in the beginning I was like, I don't know why the Russo brothers wanted a graphic novel before a screenplay, but I guess they hadn't really done a lot of action-y type stuff at that point, so maybe that was a way to sell it or whatever.
And Brian must be really bored. He's watching. Hey, Brian.
Yes. Hey, Brian.
Hey, Barbara. I saw you're watching too.
All right, what else we got?
Did you guys read? Did you read anything?
Yeah, I read some stuff.
Did you read anything, Scott?
Are you watching any of the Clone Wars season 7?
I have. I'm on like season or episode 6. We finally caught up to season 7 because we started watching all of them.
Okay.
So we're caught up.
The latest episode,
which I have not seen.
so I won't really spoil, but there is like an excellent Jedi duel lightsaber battle that's just almost better than tons of the ones in the movies.
Yeah, they do a pretty good job with their lightsaber battles, I think. But yeah, we're watching the ones where we're watching the episodes.
They actually brought Ray Park in and did some motion capture with him in
that's
order to
cool.
try to convert it over to digital animation.
Barbara left.
That's interesting. Yeah, we're in the episodes where Ahsoka's hooked up with those two sisters and they're running around or whatever. Have you seen those?
Yeah, that's about boring as hell.
Yeah, they're not my favorite right now. The first like 4 episodes with the Bad Batch were pretty good. I enjoyed the Bad Batch. So, but
the 4 episodes with the two sisters are pretty boring. You can maybe watch like the last one just so that you know they're essentially going to go after Darth Maul.
Yeah.
And
then
the last 2 episodes are really pretty good.
I really like Ahsoka's character, so I was kind of excited. But yeah, these episodes have not been the best. So, is the rumor that
she's not
Rosario?
in season 6 at all.
Yeah, correct. So is the rumor that Rosario Dawson is going to be Ahsoka in Mandalorian? Is that true?
I have not heard it confirmed by anybody that is really involved in the production of Mandalorian.
Okay. All right. So it's still a rumor.
And so even Rosario Dawson was asked about it, and she would commit and say, "Oh yeah, I'm doing it." She just basically said, "Oh, that'd be really cool."
Yeah,
it would be really cool.
You know, like I say, I like Ahsoka as a character, so it'd be interesting to see more of her and what happened to her and where she ended up. You know.
Well, she's in Rebels.
She is in Rebels.
I've never seen that, and I've started watching Rebels now as well, and I'm slow. I'm only halfway through season 1, I think.
Well, I was asking Zach, and he's like, "Well, Ahsoka died in Rebels." I'm like, "She did? That doesn't make any sense if she's going to be in the Mandalorian." So I looked it up, and it said that it looked like she might have,
she dies, and then they bring her back to life.
They brought her back, yeah. So I said, well, she didn't technically die. She just got a building collapsed on her or something. That's not a death, dude.
She was like Princess Bride. She was just mostly dead.
Oh, speaking of Zach, funny story. So Zach's been reading all the new Avengers, like the Brian Michael Bendis like hardcovers that I have, and he's reading along, and I look at what he's reading. And it's like got like a bunch of the Civil War tie and stuff. I'm like, dude, you got to read Civil War. He's like, what's that? I'm like, it's not going to make any sense if you don't read Civil War. So I pull it up on like my iPad with the Marvel Unlimited and make him read Civil War because I don't have that in hardcover. And so he reads that, and then he's back on him. And then I'm like, oh, dude, you got to read Secret Invasion once you get to a certain point. He's like, why do they keep doing this? I'm like, well, it ties into like this big event. He's like, why? I was like, I don't know. That's just the way it is. You got to read.
To make money.
You got to read the main event, or the other stuff's not going to make sense. So I took the Secret Invasion hardcover and said, okay, read it between hardcover 5 and hardcover 6, and that's when you got to read Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion. We watched
to the world of comic books.
Exactly.
Yeah, we watched Captain Marvel.
Oh, nice.
Because my Barbara had never seen it. And I've only seen it the one time in the theater, so...
How does that hold up on a second rewatch?
You know what? I wasn't a big fan of it. I mean, I didn't hate it, but I didn't necessarily like it, love it. I actually kind of liked it better the second time.
Yeah, I think it's a decent movie. I think it's all right.
I think it's a decent movie also. I'm not trying to bag it. It just wasn't my... You know what I mean?
It's not like the greatest. I mean, it's definitely in the lower tier. If you ranked all the Marvel movies, it would be in the bottom.
Right, but I think I enjoyed it more the second time around.
Yeah. But it's a well-made movie.
Yeah.
It's fun. Cool.
I watched Thor Ragnarok again.
Oh, that's in the upper tier.
I've seen...
That is a well-made movie.
That's a great movie.
I've seen that movie probably 20 times at least. I love that movie.
Have you seen Jojo Rabbit yet?
No.
I have.
Was it good? I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I liked it, but Randy did not.
Oh, because it's very satirical, right? Kind of...
Yeah. It's typical... what is it? Takia or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
His name is the director. It's a typical type of movie from him. If you watched The Hunt for the Wilder People, where it's kind of it's a drama with humor throughout. That's kind of Jojo Rabbit. It's
Gotcha.
very similar.
I haven't seen that. But speaking of just absurdist humor, has anybody watched Portlandia on Netflix?
No.
Oh man, that's a crazy show.
Is it?
Well, it's got Fred Armisen and this other lady, and they just do like these weird skits about Portland, Oregon.
I like him. He's
Okay.
great.
So if you like that
Did you
kind of
know-
stuff.
Did you mark your calendar? Parks and Rec is having a new episode tomorrow.
Oh yeah, tomorrow
it's
night.
tomorrow night?
Yeah.
I knew they were going to have a new episode, but I didn't know when. So, tomorrow
Yes.
night. All right. Yes.
Yeah, we're watching like Parks and Rec on Netflix for like the third time or whatever.
Oh, yeah?
So, yeah, we just keep going back to it.
Okay, so we
good
should
stuff.
really start talking about comics. But
Yes.
I started Ozark last night.
Oh, you never watched
Episode
Ozark?
1.
Oh.
That's a great
I
show.
haven't either.
We just finished season 3. Did Dad tell you about it?
No.
Because he's watching it.
No. We didn't bring it up. It never came up.
Okay.
I'll make sure and not bring it up around him because
Why?
he will spoil the crap out of everything.
Oh yeah, he might.
Yeah. No, I'm like 1.5 episodes in. Like, that's where I'm at.
Nice. You're nowhere near anywhere.
No.
Okay, cool. Ozark's a good show.
Yeah.
I thought season
That's
2 dragged a little bit. Season 3 is better though.
Huh.
So if you get mired down in season 2, power through because season 3 is worth it. Just
Okay.
FYI.
My brother keeps telling me I should watch that one, so it's on my list of.
Well, usually I don't listen
Series
to your
to watch.
brother, but he does have good taste in television because he does like The Wire, and that's the greatest show on television.
And yes, and he does say the same thing about that.
Yeah, have you watched
He
The
does have
Wire?
a lot of good taste in television. That one, Godless. He told me about that one. I love Godless.
I haven't watched that. Is that
He's
the Western?
watching Westworld, I think, right now though, or whatever.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched Westworld.
He said The Watchmen on HBO was not that good.
Oh really?
Yeah, he was not that impressed.
So did
but
David-
you watched Chernobyl as well, and he loved it.
Yeah.
Turned me on to that one as well.
Cool. I don't have HBO.
So did Dave Gibbons.
He
Dave-
liked The Watchmen?
No, he said it wasn't that good.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's weird because that show
Actually, he
like
didn't say that it wasn't that good.
Okay.
He actually said something more along the lines of, "It would have been better if it didn't exist."
I thought
but-
he was promoting it
in the vein
beginning.
of, but it was in the vein of the same thing that like the movie and the After Watchmen, like
before Watchmen,
before Watchmen, like it all should have just
not existing.
like Watchmen should be it and
That's it.
nothing
Well, yeah.
else.
I agree with that 100%.
I mean, he said he enjoyed it, but it wasn't.
I mean, maybe I'll say it's okay to have a film adaptation since it was fairly, close to the source material. But,
Other
yeah,
than
other
screwing up
than
the entire end of it.
that's true. But I don't see any point of the other stuff. But just my take.
It's whatever.
It is whatever. All right, let's talk about comics.
All right, what did you read? I did.
I only have,
well,
like, two
I
things.
I only
I have a bunch of stuff
like,
on my
3
iPad,
things.
but Scott
You're on.
is now Scott's on
Oh,
my
no.
iPad.
You're on.
I need to switch him back over. Well, I could probably no.
What did you read, Scott?
Well, I have an idea. I'll be back.
Okay. Did you read anything, Scott?
I read a flashback.
Why the Last
Why
Man?
the Last Man?
Is that the first trade?
I thought it would work well as a good apocalyptic,
Right.
quarantine whatever.
Yeah. Is that the first trade?
Yeah, it's first trade. I've got like all 10 of them or whatever it is.
Cool. So did you
And
just
I didn't read all 10 of them either.
right? I really remember nothing about Why the Last Man. I read it as it was coming out. I have it in single issues, and I haven't gone back to it.
That's what Scott read. Why the Last Man?
Yeah, I remember
I
really.
didn't.
All 60 issues.
No, just the first
No,
trade.
not all 60. I just read the first trade because I wanted to read an apocalyptic type of book.
Nice.
With a monkey.
With
with a
a
monkey.
monkey. Well, that makes sense.
Well, how was it in your flashback?
It's good. It's really good. I want to almost just like rush through and read the other 54 issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the hardcovers, and I actually bought them.
And
I
it has like
haven't read them.
great visuals like this, and stuff.
Ooh, nice. Liking that. Yeah, I didn't double dip on that one. I didn't buy the hardcovers,
I didn't buy the single issues,
but
so I won because I'd rather have the hardcovers than
I
the
would
single issues.
too.
Sometimes
I did
it
not buy
pays
the
off to be
hardcovers.
late to the
I just
party.
bought the basic softcover collections.
That's all right. Drew will ruin his hardcovers when he reads them anyway.
I will not.
Anytime he touches...
Hardcovers hold up. It's trade paperbacks I destroy.
Anytime he touches anything, it falls apart. It's just like
just trade
disintegrates.
paperbacks. I don't know why they do.
You're like Carrie in the Spider-Man universe, but with graphic novels.
Carrie in the Spider-Man universe.
Carrion.
Oh, I touched the trade paper. Just trade paperbacks. Hardcovers are fine.
And they dissolve.
Yes, they do dissolve.
I do have to say, though, that the pacing in this book is, like, freaking insane.
Like slow?
I mean...
Fast?
No, it's great. I mean, it's just fast, but yet not too crazy, though, either. I mean, he's introduced... Brian Vaughan there just knows how to write.
Yeah,
it's
he's
almost
good.
a lesson in, how to write in this medium.
He is the king of the cliffhanger, too. Like, every issue ends on a cliffhanger. Doesn't it?
Yeah, he does quite a bit of that. But...
in a good way.
Yeah, there you go. It's in a good way.
Makes you want to read the next issue.
It's not always something where it's like, oh, I got to go right away. It's just like, oh, boy, type thing. Here's something coming.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I was really into Lost at one point, the TV show. And, like, season 2, every episode ends on, like, a cliffhanger, like a great, like, little kind of thing. And Brian K. Vaughan was, like, a major writer for the show that season or whatever. So.
That is correct.
He is a master of that. Make you want to watch the next one.
But I just think the pacing and characterization in general in this first book, is just incredible.
Yeah.
He's introducing all these characters, bringing the pieces together, but yet still moving this thing at a decent enough pace that you don't feel bored, I didn't think.
Correct. And that's TV show supposed to be coming out at some point. I think it got kind of derailed a little bit. Like they lost their lead or their showrunner, and then they had to kind of reset or something. So, but FX is making it.
Oh, are they?
Mm-hmm.
That could be good. I'll probably have to tell my brother to watch it and then tell me if it's any good.
Yes. It's a good plan.
Yes, you will.
All right, so Scott did one. You want to do it?
I sort of did the Seed.
All right.
Kudad.
I did read Royal City. I had that bound up, like the single issues of Royal City. Royal City is...
I'm going to go get a refill.
All right, you do that. All right, Royal City is by Jeff Lemire. He writes it and draws it. It's a very character-driven story.
It's slice of life.
It's very slice of life, but it's basically about this family, parents, and then there's 4 kids, 3 brothers and a daughter, sister, and when the youngest dies when he's like 14, 15, and it affects the rest of the family obviously quite a bit. And the first issue, it's like probably 20 years later after he's died, and every family member is carrying like a version of the dead brother with them. Like the mother has a version that she talks to where he like became a priest, and like the burnout brother has like a version where he just hangs around with him and they drink beer and get high and just cause trouble, and then the sister has a version where he's like a little kid where she babysits him because that's what she remembers.
Right.
So every version, every person in the family has a different version of him that they kind of carry around with them. And the series quickly kind of shows you where each person is in their life, and pretty much everybody's life is kind of fallen apart. Like the older brother became a writer, and he wrote one good novel that he basically kind of stole from his younger brother's journals. And then his second book that he wrote was all him, and it kind of bombed. And now he's supposed to do a third book, and like that he's past the deadline. He hasn't even written a word, and his agent's calling him, hey, that publisher wants the book. He's like, oh yeah, it's all in my notebooks. I just got to get it down. He's like, dude, it was due like 6 months ago. And
right.
So anyway, so it's kind of that. And that's the one bad thing about it is there's a lot of very kind of obvious tropes. Like, you got the guy whose life, the writer who hasn't delivered his book and his marriage is falling apart. And then you got the sister and she's trying to make a big real estate deal, but her husband is mad at her and they're getting a divorce. So everybody's life is kind of falling apart, But anyway, so he introduces all these characters and kind of gives you their status. And then he takes that's the first arc, kind of gives you what's going on with them. And the second arc, it goes back to like the 90s when the brother was alive, and kind of it's like a kind of a week in the life of him leading up to his death or whatever, you know. And so the whole series is like 14 issues, I think. And so you got the first arc, second arc is back in the 90s. It's really cool because Jeff Lemire kind of grew up in the 90s like we did. He liked all kind of the same music, and so it really feels very much like the 90s.
He released soundtracks for like...
Yeah, he has like a playlist for each issue. So that's kind of cool too. And then the last...
Really?
Yeah, and then the last arc, he kind of just wraps it all up and has... You know, you're not really a happy ending, but definitely an ending where every character... Actually, it is fairly happy. Every character kind of finds their path. They've all been kind of lost and not dealing with their brother's death very well. And now they kind of come to grips and kind of figure out where their life needs to go from here. And it kind of... I don't know. You read that book, The Knicks, right?
Oh, yeah.
It almost reminds me of that a little bit, doesn't it? Don't you see a lot of parallels? It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm sure that neither one of those writers has read each other's work. I think they came out about the same time. But I see all sorts of, like, very similar parallels. But it's super well done. It's very character-driven. You know, it's almost like
I really
like an Oprah Book of the Month type of thing. You know, it's like it's got characters and, you know, they feel like real people. And he does a great job of drawing them. So anyway, Jeff Lemire, Royal City. If you're into that kind of slice of life, just kind of books about people and just, you know, it's really well done.
Really good.
It's really good. Like I said, it's very satisfying. The ending all comes together, and it just tells like a really complete story. And he does such a good job of drawing the characters, like making them real. They really feel like real people. You feel like you know them. Usually when you read stuff like that, novels typically do a better job of that than graphic novels do, just because they have more words. But he's able to do it in a graphic novel format, and it's just really impressive. So
I really, really, really enjoyed The Knicks. I thought it was a great book. I want to go back and... I listened to it. I didn't actually read it. I would love to read it or re-listen to it.
I have the copy of it if you want to borrow it. So.
I don't want to read it.
Okay. Yeah, who wants to read it?
I want to listen to it.
But yeah.
I've got plenty of stuff to read.
I hear you. So, anyway, Royal City. Like I said, I had it in single issues. It was fun to kind of go and read it all at once over like a couple days. And it just feels very complete and just very, very well done. Really enjoyed it.
Cool. I will talk about this as much as I can remember.
Oh, man. On the Stump. Oh, I almost bought that.
You almost bought it? You should have bought it. It's pretty good.
On the Stump.
So it's the first 2 issues of On the Stump. It's a new series by...
you don't know the names, do you?
No, I don't know who created it.
Okay.
Brown? Somebody Brown?
Somebody Brown, somebody Prinzi, and Cowles. He must be the colors.
Yeah, he's probably the colors.
Or the letter.
One of the 2. Anyway, this is set... I would assume somewhere in the near future.
Near future.
And basically...
Should be called On the Trump.
Well, it's interesting. It is a political book, so
I know, that's why I said
Congress, like the senators, they don't vote on bills. They basically have this huge round platform that's a stump. They call it the stump. And it's a pedestal. And whenever a senator wants to pass a bill, they basically have a MMA boxing. They have a boxing match, and whichever senator wins, it either passes or it fails. Like that's how they pass legislation now, which should probably be the way it's done anyway. And so it starts out with one of these old senators, and he's an older senator, and he hasn't been able to pass a bill. He hasn't won a fight in like forever or whatever, and like in 6 years, and he's kind of washed up. And so it starts out with just a fight, and he pulls like a Rocky. So here, like it's on the, if you can see it, it's like on the National Mall, and they have a big stump right there, and you can see it's not even on camera. Well, it's on the phone. Oh, I need to show you on the camera.
It's on the phone. But you're all good.
Yeah, so like they're on this big stump, and you can see the Washington Monument in the back, blah blah blah, and so that's
nice.
That's kind of the way, and so it's almost like a Rocky. Like they have an announcer, and people, they have a crowd, and
how'd they find a tree that big?
Ready to rumble.
Right, they cheer for like which senator they want to win, and they even bet on it. Like they gamble on it and stuff, and So it's got a more detailed story where.
How are you reading this? Because this is like fairly recent. Don't you have like long boxes of books from like last 2 years that you're supposed to catch up on?
I do.
You can't jump around. You need a first in, first out, dude.
Well, I tried that, but this was something that's cool. You see the dude's eyeball just gets punched out.
Well, show it to the listener.
Well, I know, but Scott can't see it.
Well,
I have to show it to Scott and the people.
Well, you know.
So anyway, it gets into like more of a. So there's this one senator that's like on the West Coast, and he's wanting to. It's kind of like a political intrigue kind of thing where you've got the people behind the scenes that are not quite, doing what they're supposed to be doing, and but it's cool. The art is nice. I've never seen the guy that does it, but like I said, it's an interesting little series. I mean, if you like,
Chuck Brown is the writer and Prinzi. He just goes by Prinzi.
Apparently. And Cowles is the letterer.
Yes. So he does the coloring too.
The artist does the coloring also.
Yeah, Prinzi.
Yeah, Prinzi. But anyway, it's interesting. It's kind of a cool, neat little new series.
I mean, I know letters are important, but I don't know if letters really need to be listed on the cover.
Well, if you can't put the colorist on there, put the letterer on there. You get three people on there. Who cares? Put everybody on there.
Did I tell you there was a book, Protector, that book I've been buying?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so the solicitation lists, like, all the creators, and it lists, like, in this weird order, and when I was looking at solicitation, I was like, well, I like that Tartakovsky. He's the guy, I love his art, right?
Right.
And so I was like, if he does the art, I'll totally buy it, but it lists all the creators, and Tartakovsky's, like, at the end. I'm like, oh, did he just do like the cover or something? Or I don't know. So I did some more research. Turned out he did the art. And so I actually emailed the writer of the book. I said, dude, your solicitation sucks. Because I almost did not buy this book because you have Tartakovsky, the main artist guy, listed at the end. And I'm like, I wasn't sure that he even did the interior art because there weren't any preview pages of the art or whatever. I was like, so I almost didn't order it. But if I knew he did the art, I would have ordered it. You need to list what each person is doing in the solicitation. He's like, yeah, we don't have any control over that. We just want to list the whole team. And Image said if you list the whole team, it just goes in like alphabetical order or something stupid, and it doesn't list what they did. I'm like, all right, well then you shouldn't list the whole team. You should just list the writer and the artist so I know who the freaking artist is, because they had like 5 people listed, and I'm like, they had like the letterer and the colorist and the penciler, and they had like 2 writers. I'm like, all right, I need to know who does the art in the book so I know if I want to buy it, dude. That's important.
One, if you're the writer and you get an email like that, don't you take that as a slap in the face because you're not interested in the book?
Well, I don't know the writer. He's like a new dude. He hasn't done anything.
And then 2, you are bored as Buck at home if that's what you're doing.
Well, he responded to me, and he's like,
writer of a
he's
book
like, yeah, he agreed with me. He's like, yeah, I get it, I understand.
Now, and then also, I think that's BS because, but I mean, Kirkman's Kirkman. Kirkman can write anything he wants in a solicit for Walking Dead. It was like 3 fucking words.
But this is like a newbie guy. Like he's got no cachet or whatever.
I don't know. That doesn't.
Anyway, I wrote the writer and said, dude, you need to fix your solicitation because you almost lost a sale. It's like, if you want to sell me a book, tell me who freaking draws it and tell me who freaking writes it. I'm not going to buy a book because of the colorist or the letterer. I mean, it's fine to give them credit, but if you want to give them credit, don't make them prominent because then I'm confused. I don't know who did what. If your Image solicitation can't tell you what each person did, then don't freaking list them so I know what I'm buying.
I'm really getting irritated with one aspect of, because I did my order online with DC, with who I buy my books through online. And that whole new line of books that it's like AWA.
Yeah. They got some good stuff.
It's the one that Straczynski's doing.
Yeah, I bought that.
And I'm buying a lot of stuff that it's not listed.
What's
like that publisher is not listed online at all. And so every month
they don't have a website, or they're not on the website.
No, they're not. They're not on the website anywhere on the book.
Well, why?
You go to other, and they're not there.
Why aren't they there? Did you complain?
I have no idea. No, I haven't.
How do you order
I'm
the
sure
book
they
if
have
they're not
plenty.
there?
I'm sure they. Well, that's what I have to do. I have to go into the search.
Oh, it's search
There's
for
a
the
search, and I have to
issue.
type in the title. And every single one, because I bought, I think, like 3 or 4 of the titles.
Mm-hmm.
I type in The Resistance.
Yeah.
Like, that's the name of the book.
That book better be good.
And it doesn't pop up. Like, it doesn't come up at all.
Yeah.
So then I type in Resistance. It doesn't come up. So then I go, okay, I'll type in Diodato. I type in Diodato, the fucking book comes up.
Wow.
The Resistance comes up when I search Diodato.
Wow.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like,
I'm not kidding you.
I almost gave up and just didn't buy. I'm almost giving up and not buying anything by that publisher because it shouldn't be that hard.
It shouldn't be, but it's not the publisher's fault in that case.
No, it's not. But
In this case, it was the
Web
writer's
developer's
fault.
should I really
having
have to
search
work
engine.
that freaking hard to
No, you shouldn't.
order a
But like I
book?
said, that's the people who made the website's fault, not.
And they probably have their hands tied now since they're
Oh, they're fucked.
since they're since they're distributor now. Oh my God, we didn't even
That's
talk
gonna
about.
backfire.
We didn't even.
We should do some
talk-
comic book news because
Jesus.
the
I don't
comic book
even know
industry
what's
is
going
broken.
on. I don't even know what's going on. All I see is
Are
headlines.
there
that-
even comic books being like delivered right now?
They are not.
They are
So,
not.
did you not hear? You don't follow comic book
He
news.
doesn't fall.
So check this out. So Diamond Comics, the exclusive distributor of most comic books in North America, basically,
Bill Hook's watching.
basically they said we're not going to deliver any comic books. I think it was like starting like the week of April 4th or something. And they said we're
Right,
we're stopping
yeah.
all distribution.
And I heard something about that.
So DC Comics said, who has an exclusive agreement with Diamond, says, well, there's some shops open that want product to sell because not every comic book shop is shuttered, right? There's some states where you can be open.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, so we're gonna hire 2 other distributors that aren't you, Diamond Comics, and they're gonna distribute our books until you get your shit together, and possibly beyond that. So now DC created 2 new distributors. One is Midtown Comics, who I believe is a comic book shop in New York City, who had a
Yes.
major account with DC and handled all their subscriptions. They're going to be a distributor. Another is Discount Comic Book Service, who is a web-based comic book delivery service. They created a distribution company, and DC is going to distribute comic books through them. So now, as a comic book retailer, you can get books from Lunar Distribution or this new Midtown Comics. They have another name
Yeah,
too.
I can't remember what
What their name was.
Lunar, and I don't remember the other one.
But anyway, so as a comic book shop, you can order your books through them, or you can wait till Diamond gets their shit together, which sounds like May 20th is where they're going to start shipping books again.
Yeah.
Or you can order from them and get your books on May 20th. But if you want books now, you got to order from one of these other distributors. And then
But that's only for DC, though, right?
only for DC. So DC now has their books being distributed through 3 different distribution companies, and you as a comic book retailer can choose which distributor you want to order from.
That's got to be so.
And going forward, May 20th, when Diamond gets back online, it sounds like these 2 distributors are still going to be in play.
Wow. But
Cool.
but
Is
that,
it?
But that
Many retailers are very angry.
the thing that
Oh, really? Why is that?
Well, some of them are closed. Like if you're in San Francisco, you can't be open. So you got some comic book shops in the country getting stuff from other distributors, and some comic book shops can't sell anything, and so they're gonna have to wait for Diamond to get online. And the problem with ordering from multiple distributors, it's all based on volume. So if you're a comic book shop and you're ordering from 3 different distributors, you're not gonna get the same volume because it's based on. You're not gonna get the same discount because it's based on volume. So you really want all your
Right,
crap coming from one guy.
But, I mean, it's still open competition then. I mean, you go to, as a comic book owner, I'm going to go to whoever's going to give it to me the best deal, the cheapest price,
Correct.
and on time.
Yeah.
well the thing that confuses
And obviously Diamond wasn't doing that all the time either, though.
Correct. Diamond's a horrible company. It's so funny because they're so bad at their job, but yet these comic book retailers are like coming online and be like, I love Diamond. I'm sticking with Diamond because they're the... And it's like, really? Have you ever worked with Diamond? Because they're horrible. How can you stick up for them now? I mean, I'd be like praising... I mean, the only problem is that this Lunar and this other one, they only distribute DC. So if you want all your other Image and Marvel and stuff, you still got to
Right.
go through... So, and the other problem is that the new distribution companies are both associated with a discounted online comic book service, and so that's your direct competition is now your distributor if you're a comic book retailer. So that's the other issue I think they have. So anyway, it's an interesting.
That's where I would see the bigger issue.
Yeah, so it's an interesting thing that has happened. It'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. But
well, the thing that would drive me nuts is I don't understand. So if let's say that I'm a comic book store, right?
You are a comic book store.
Right, I'm a comic book store.
That's how we're pretending.
And I put in an order with Diamond for 50 copies of Batman 92.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. So I have my order through Diamond. They stopped production. Now they're gonna ship it to Lunar, and I can get 50 copies of Batman from Lunar.
Uh-huh.
Now, when Diamond comes back online,
yeah,
am I going to get my 50 copies?
Nope. So what happened was DC made Diamond zero out all of the orders that had been previously placed.
Okay.
So now as a comic book store, all your DC comic orders with Diamond are zeroed out. You have nothing on order with Diamond of new product that hasn't come out yet. So you now have to choose, where do I want to get my stuff from? If you want it from Diamond, you have to resubmit a new order.
Like now?
Like right now. I think final order cutoff was like yesterday or in a week or tomorrow. I don't know.
Oh my God, I feel so sorry for those fucking people.
So yeah, so as a
That's
retailer,
insane.
you have to, everything's zeroed out. So you have to now decide where you want to get your DC Comics from.
I wonder
Nobody.
I wonder if Brian's still watching, because that would be interesting to hear what the hell he's doing, like what's going through his head, like what he's doing.
Well, it's so funny because I check the news sites daily, and it's like one day Diamond's like, no, your orders are not zeroed out, and the next day DC's like, oh yes they are, and then Diamond's like, oh yeah, I guess they are.
Jesus.
Because Diamond was like, no they aren't, and DC's like, yeah they are. Diamond's like, oh, I guess they are. Okay, DC, you're right, we're wrong.
I mean, it's so funny because... Well,
it's funny because it's not me.
Right, it's interesting though because...
It is fascinating from like watching a train wreck.
Right, and I mean, I'm in a unique position. I love comic books. I love to read comic books. I like to get new comic books, but I'm so far behind, like... I don't care. You know
I'm
what
okay
I mean?
that we haven't had any new comic books for like a month because I'm like, hey,
right.
I can get caught up.
Right. And I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's like with me, I'm like the odd man out. Like, I get it. Like, I love comics. I love the medium. I love to buy them. I love to read them. But if I don't, I mean, I'm used to getting my comics once a month anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I have so much stuff backed up that, like, I'm not going to lose my mind if I don't get Avengers number 47 like this week.
Yeah, because you're not reading it this week.
Because I'm not reading it this week anyway. And I mean, so to me, like a break, it doesn't really affect me as a reader or a collector or whatever. Now, I mean, yes, I'm a collector, so I want to make sure that I'm going to get those copies eventually.
Sure.
But I mean, in the near future, it does, and I'm essential, so I'm still working. So I'm not sitting around all day with time on my hands, bored out of my mind. You know what I mean? Like,
I've been off for 4 weeks, and I'm not bored either. And I really haven't been reading that many comic books.
So, but I can see where it is an issue, especially for people that, retailers, people that own shops. It's a huge deal for them.
Oh, definitely.
Like, I completely get that, and,
yeah.
and I feel bad for them, and I sympathize for them, with them, whatever you want to say. Like, I get it, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's like, I get it. It's a business. It's people's livelihoods, artists, writers, like people. Like, they just read a story that Disney like laid off like a ton of people, which was Marvel also. Like, they were in that department.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of people that are not getting paid. They're
Correct.
not getting paychecks.
Yeah.
But it's just so funny because, I mean, it's like, it's almost like, you know, on the extreme other end, I'm like, I'm Allen Iverson sitting at the thing going, we're talking about comics. You know what I mean? It's practice. It's comics, man. We're talking about comics. You know, they're supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be a getaway, you know, your escape. You know, you sit down and you just forget about everything and read it. You know what I mean? But it's so, I don't know. It's just so weird that it's like, it's such monetary value. You know what I mean? Like, it's a huge business. But But in the grand scheme of things, everybody's always complaining about, well, comics aren't anything, you know what I mean? Like, like they don't mean anything. They're not, they don't make that much money. Like Marvel makes no money off of their comic books. It's all the movies and stuff. But it is a huge thing. So, I mean, you've been pounded into your head for like the last 10 years that, you know, comics are worthless and comics aren't worth any, you know what I mean? Like not that they're worthless, but I mean, you get this fact that they're like, you know, the redheaded stepchild of all media. Yeah. And they don't really mean anything. But when you get this huge shutdown like we've had for a month or however long it's been, it's like everything's ground to a halt. Yeah. And it's like, it is a thing. It does affect a ton of people.
It does. Everything affects. Yeah. I mean,
well, Don,
I think
you made a point there, too, that some people, you know, are getting laid off and things. Is there a fear, then, that certain comics may stop being published at this point?
Oh, yeah. I think there's always a fear because, I mean, I think you have that, I mean, they're a month and a half or whatever of, like, no comics being published. Well, all these writers and artists, you know, it's like, well, I was barely hanging on as it was, you know, and now I'm not getting any new comics on the shelf, no revenue, you know, so... Yeah, I'm expecting a lot of books to get canceled, to be quite honest.
Well, and I guess where I'm going with some of that is that probably is more where my fear would come from as a consumer of the product, you know, type thing would be not only maybe from my collection, but from the fact of a story that I enjoyed that maybe wasn't as mainstream as some others, may just not get finished.
Yeah, that's a real fear.
Here's the thing, Scott, as a comic book collector for 35 plus years, whatever, however long.
Shit doesn't get finished anyway.
Shit doesn't get finished anyway. Stuff will come out.
You're always rolling the dice.
You're always rolling the dice, dude. So, I mean...
That's a good point.
Although I do understand what you're saying, and yeah, it does suck, I don't care. If a book comes out, it comes out. Yeah, I'm excited about it. But, I mean, 20 years ago... I would have cared more about it. You know what I mean? Like, oh no. Yeah. Like, I only got
wisdom and experience.
I only got Youngblood number 7. Come on, Rob. Give me number 8, you know? But I've been burned by Rob Liefeld like 15 times.
But then again, Don, you don't even buy the middle issue of a bunch of comics.
Right. That's true. You just skip issues.
I read them out of order.
You miss an issue.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's
all good.
But yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. And like I said,
but I also understand what you're saying as well.
I'm not trying to make light of this situation. I mean, there are real world situations. Like, you know, we know people that own comic book stores, and I mean, they're fucking hurting. I'm sure they are.
Oh, I'm afraid some of them are going to go under.
Game stores, comic book stores. I mean, you know, and then I mean that's just people that we know, like in our inner circle, and then I mean, you know, with comic book creators. I mean, you go on Facebook, and I mean, everybody's doing fucking commissions now.
Yeah,
it's like
I'm taking commissions right now.
Have opened. I mean,
are you guys ordering any?
No, I don't have any money.
No,
I don't know if I'm gonna have a job in a year.
I don't have any money either. Well, and the thing too, I mean, honestly, seriously, like, you know, conventions are a big. They make decent. The big ones, they make money. You know, that's how artists make money. And you know, you've lost everything, almost everything this year. I mean, San Diego's been canceled.
Not only the bigger artists, but even the smaller artists. That's how they make a lot of their money.
They just go to conventions every weekend, and if there's no conventions to go to, and so like their revenue is zero.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Heroes got canceled finally.
Smallville canceled.
Oh,
Heroes was canceled?
Yeah, they canceled.
Yeah, Heroes was canceled.
Yeah, they did it last Friday. San Diego Comic-Con
was canceled.
It's canceled. I mean, are we gonna? They moved.
They moved Planet, but do you think that ultimately it will get canceled?
I don't think. Yeah, it's not going to happen. August ain't going to happen.
I think it might. Chris Jackson likes money.
It ain't up to Chris Jackson though. And here's the thing too. Here's the thing
the thing was he didn't want to cancel it in March.
Yeah, I know.
And the city essentially forced.
They did, but I don't think the city will have a ban by then. Maybe they will. I don't know.
I mean, from his point of view, I mean, can you blame him? I mean,
no, I don't.
I would not. I would not want to cancel it either. And the thing is, like at that point, it was early on.
Yeah,
but here's the thing too, though. Everybody's at home, everybody's shut in. You're not going to theaters, you're not going to restaurants, and everybody's talking about, well, when things do open up, are people going to feel comfortable going out and going to stuff? Like big gatherings.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's even the thing. I mean, in August...
Well, there was even a report that I just read today that said that basically it was like an informal poll, one of those telephone, call survey type things, that said as many as 40% of the people they interviewed would not go to any of those type of things,
Correct.
Concerts, theaters,
right.
This type of stuff, until a vaccine's out there.
So that's the thing.
People say that, but they have short memories. If the numbers start dropping and it starts to become less of it, and the media stops kind of hammering it, I don't know. I think people start. But
here's where I wonder with Planet, with Chris Jackson. I mean, I
give it 50-50.
It's a huge production. It's a huge amount of money to put that thing on.
Yeah.
Are you gonna put that thing on, and then instead of having 60,000 people show up, 20,000 people show up? He ain't gonna make any money doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, are you gonna lose money on it?
Yeah, he won't.
So I don't know. I mean, August, it seems a long ways away, but it's not very far away.
Yeah,
and I mean,
really
we're not going to be. I mean, I'm worried about November.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing, several things. Like, I'm worried about November. It's like one.
And what kind of rules are you going to have?
Right. What kind of rules are you going to have? Is everything going to be back to normal? And then you start thinking they're already talking second wave. Coming in the fall. So are we going to be right in the middle of the second wave in November? I mean,
Yeah, it's all good questions.
You're going to hand everybody a mask with their poster as they enter?
Right. I mean, and the thing that Fountain City, they moved to December.
Wow.
Yeah, they postponed. They moved to like December 8th or something. The only one that I haven't seen yet is Klotz. The free not the Free State. It's not Free State, but it's KC FanCon.
Yeah,
and it's supposed to be like June, like the first week of June or the second week of June.
Well, I haven't heard anything about Gen Con yet either, and that's in August.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen, dude.
I can't imagine it is either, but they still haven't announced yet.
Right. Well, that's the thing with Heroes. I mean, I've been waiting because I was going to go this year, and
where's that at?
It's in Charlotte.
North Carolina.
North Carolina?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was like June 19th, June 20th.
I'm tired of talking about the coronavirus. Okay. I mean, that's all I freaking hear about every fucking day.
Well, I understand, but it has to do with what we're talking about. But
it was a convention type thing in general.
Yeah.
All right, what do you got, Scott? You're next.
I have nothing else.
Damn it, Scott.
So
it's back to me?
I guess, because I just did On the Stump and a 30-minute thing about coronavirus.
I read Rumble. I've had my Rumble Volume 1 and 2 bound up.
Oh, nice.
This is a book that put James Herron on the map. Now he's a phenomenon.
Well, he's not doing anything now. James Herron.
Harren?
Harren.
He's a phenomenon.
Herron.
Okay.
James Herron. So this is a book by John Arcudi and James Herron.
He made his comic book money with Rumble and then just got the F out.
No, I don't think he made much money with Rumble. Dave Stewart just the F out. He's not out.
What's he doing?
I don't know what Don's talking about. But anyway, this is Rumble. So it's about Rathrak. He's this guy in this cover here. See him with the Scott can't see.
Oh, no, put it on the phone.
So, anyway, Rathrak's this weird, hooded guy with this giant freaking sword. Turns out he's a sort of a god. Not quite a god, but he's an immortal from, many years ago when immortals roamed the earth. And he was,
Hey, Chris.
Unfortunately...
Chris is watching.
I don't know who Chris is. Oh, your daughter.
Yeah.
Nice. So, there's lots of Chris's, dude. All right. So, anyway, Rathrak, he was he fought these monsters many years ago as an immortal roaming the earth. Well, his soul was stolen from his body, and it was imprisoned. Well, now his soul has escaped and taken the body of this scarecrow in modern day, times. And he went and found his sword, and he's still running around trying to kill these monsters and trying to find his body. So that's the basic gist of it. So he runs into some colorful characters in the city. Like one guy who's kind of like an obnoxious kind of know-it-all type of, boastful type guy. And then another guy who's more the sensitive type. But anyway, they're best friends. So he kind of runs around with them, and he's running around chasing monsters, killing monsters. But yeah, it's good stuff. Rumble. But yeah,
Cool.
there were 15 issues of it from Image with James Herron and John Arcudi, the writer. And then it went on a hiatus, and it came back with a new artist, same writer, and they kind of continued the story. Because I guess James Herron decided he wasn't making any money, and the sales were kind of dropping off. But John Arcudi, the writer, felt like he had more stories to tell. So he relaunched it with a new #1, and it ran for like 18 issues, I think, with the new artist. And so I bound all of those into one big, giant hardcover, and then I read them all. And it's Rumble.
Wow.
Definitely the first 15 issues with the James Herron art was the best. The second series was okay, not near as good as the first series, in my opinion. I really missed the James Herron art, which I felt was the biggest selling point for the book, because James Herron is phenomenal. I don't know why Don said he's not doing anything. He did that Thor stuff. I thought he did something else. Maybe he hasn't. He came back for the very last issue, and Don does not like his new beer. What beer is that, Don?
I was going to tell Scott.
Pineapple?
You're missing the historic, Scott. I'm drinking a fruit beer.
A hazy pineapple IPA.
It's a hazy pineapple IPA.
Is it that bad?
Ugh.
So, anyway, Rumble. Let's focus. Rumble. First 15 issues, excellent. Second 18 issues, decent. Not as good, but still okay. And I think sales dropped so low that I don't think any more are coming. That's why I bound it. They haven't solicited any more issues. They didn't ever officially end it, so it could come back. But I'm guessing probably not.
You know how every time you would come over, Scott, and you'd have like some kind of a fruit beer or whatever? Oh, look, he's in...
Yep.
Hey, Scott's got a cool background. How do you do that? I want to do a cool Zoom background.
You know how like every time you would come over, Scott, and you're like, ooh, I got this, whatever, raspberry beer or a pineapple, whatever it is, and I always say no.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I always say no. Do you have like a Tiger King background?
No, but Wolverine's behind us.
Ooh, now we don't see Scott.
I can fix that. Oh, no.
How about that one? Ooh.
I don't know. We can't see you, sir. Oh, now we see you. Oh,
right.
You're in Cloud City. And I'm like...
Don is like mixing into the background. That's weird.
He is. Oh,
That's
like
cray-cray.
that.
Oh, wow.
Nope, it's not the shirt.
Not the shirt.
It's
All
not
right,
like
anyway,
a green screen.
Rumble, very good. James Herron, amazing. He kind of like exploded onto the art scene. But, yeah, I don't know what he's doing. He did the Thor stuff. He came back into issue of Rumble. I thought he did something else. He did a couple issues of 7 to Eternity.
Oh, did he?
So he's been doing like a little things here and there.
Okay. Do not drink the hazy pineapple IPA. Dude.
Don is not a fan of the hazy pineapple IPA.
I will keep that one in mind.
All right, so those are the 2 giant hardcovers I read. I almost finished my bound version of Outpost Zero. Do you remember Outpost Zero, Scott?
I do.
I bound it all, the whole series together, and I'm on the last issue, but I didn't finish it in time for the podcast. Don is going to talk about Basket Full of Heads, which is Joe Hill and Leo Max. Is that another one-name artist?
You read this, didn't you?
I have not read that.
I thought you... Oh, you bought Plunge.
And what was it called?
Okay, so it's called...
Basket Full of Heads.
It's a basket full of heads. So Joe Hill did, like, he got, like, his own label, basically. Well, it's under the Black label at DC, but it's, like, his own horror label. So he had, like, 6 series.
That's what happens when you have a successful series like Lock and Key.
I know. So it's like 6
Don knows.
6-issue miniseries, and Basket Full of Heads is written by Joe Hill. The rest of them are written by not Joe Hill, and then drawn by various people. But it's like, and this was the first one that launched. But so I wanted to wait and read them all, like, get all 6 of Basket Full of Heads and read. And then get all 6 of the Dollhouse and read those. But Joe Hill did a little thing where he's got another story running in the back of every friggin' single issue. So it's like a 2 or 3 page story in the back of every issue, and it goes out of order. So part 1 is in Basketball Ahead's number 1. Part 2 is in number 1 of the Dollhouse. Part 3 is in number 2 of Basketball Ahead's. And so he really screwed up the way that I wanted to read this book, unless I want to read the main story of everything and then go back and read 3 pages in the back, which I might do just because I don't want to.
That really sounds like a pain in the ass.
Yeah. So I'm reading them in order. So I read the first 2 issues of Basketball Aheads, and I read the first issue of Dollhouse. So basically, Basketball Aheads. Where'd Scott go? I can't see him.
Oh, sorry.
There he is. Now he's at a different.
You know why you're
Star
disappearing?
Force.
It's because that light in the background is
Is that what
effing
it
it
is?
up. Yeah.
Okay, so Basketball Aheads is basically there's this town. It's a coast. It's up in Maine. It's like a tourist town. Summer tourist town or whatever, beach town.
Is it really in Maine?
It is. It's like somewhere up there. He's playing up the Maine, the whole Stephen
Didn't
King.
his dad do that
Joe
enough?
Hill.
I don't really need
Yeah.
to do it too.
And so
What the hell?
I'm pretty sure it's in Maine. But anyway, so it starts out and there's this kid. He's in college.
I would imagine that's where all those things from Joe Hill, Stephen King, they're all in Maine.
I know, it's just been done.
There's this college age kid, and he took up a summer job as like he's with the police department, so he's like he writes parking tickets and blah blah blah, but he's in the sheriff. And so it's the end of the summer, and his girlfriend comes up to visit him before they head back to go to school. And so on his last day, they get a call, and there was like a prison breakout. They had like a chain gang, picking up litter or doing, side road yard work or whatever, and 4 convicts escape. And so the sheriff was going to go home and have dinner with his wife and his kids and this guy that works for him and his girlfriend. And well, now he can't go eat, so he sends the kid and his girlfriend back to his house to have dinner, and he says, I'll catch up once we get this taken care of. And so they go back to the house.
And they find a basket full of heads?
No.
Oh.
So they go back to the house, and they have dinner with the wife, and his son's there too, so it's like, there's like 4 of them, I think. But this guy likes to collect...
Heads?
No, not heads. He collects like Norse artifacts. You know what I mean? Like shields and axes, and he's got this whole room that's full of all this stuff. Well,
Hammers?
Yes, hammers, all the cool Norse stuff. I think it's Norse. I don't know. There's some kind of artifacts. So anyway, there was like a lady that lives in town, and somebody got murdered. So the sheriff calls his wife, and of course there's a big storm coming in, a big swell. So it's raining, and it's high winds and waves and all kinds of stuff. And so talk about tropes. And so then the sheriff, a guy gets murdered, and the sheriff's wife knows the wife, and so he calls his wife and says, hey, I need you to go over to so-and-so and talk to the wife and make sure she's okay, and take our son with you so that he can drive you because the weather might get bad. And we're going to leave that dude, the part-time summer sheriff, and his girlfriend at our house so they can hold down the fort. And of course, they leave, and then what happens? The 4 convicts break into the sheriff's house, and they're looking to steal shit, party down, whatever. And so
doing their thing.
Which it's funny because like at the beginning of the book, the sheriff's like, oh, these are just 4 knuckleheads. They don't know what they're doing, blah, blah, blah. They're probably running to the next town. They're going to sit in a bar and order a drink, and they're going to get picked up. And so they show up at the sheriff's house, and so that guy, the guy, he's like tells his girlfriend to go upstairs into the bedroom and lock herself in and don't come out. And of course, so she goes up there, and she's up there for like an hour, and then she doesn't hear anything, so she comes out, and one of the convicts, her boyfriend's gone, and one of the dudes is still there. And so she reaches over and she gets into a fight with this guy, and a glass case breaks, and there's this axe in the case. So she grabs the axe and she swings it and cuts this dude's head off. Well, this axe has mystical powers to where it will kill the person, but their head is still alive.
Oh, that's awesome.
So the body's dead, but the head's still alive and talking and stuff. And so she cuts this dude's head off, and he's freaking out because his head's rolling around, and he's like, "What's going on? Why is everything black?"
I think she should put it in an aquarium, and a bunch of aquariums all on the wall.
You're breaking out. Oh, yeah, in fish tanks?
Yeah, Walking Dead, right?
Like Walking Dead?
I have that Lego set.
He froze. He's freezing.
He's freezing again?
Yeah, look. He's frozen.
Uh-oh.
Wave your hand. Oh, he's waving his hand.
Okay.
He's just choppy.
Gotcha. You're choppy, sir. Now you're frozen. Anyway,
Nice.
That's Basketful of Heads. That's the first 2 issues of Basketful of Heads. So she has a mystical axe where she can cut people's heads off, and the heads are still alive. So she only has the one head so far after the 2nd issue, and we don't hear anything from Scott. So
All right. I think he likes
he's
it.
gone.
I think he loves Basketful.
I think
He's a big fan.
Scott's gone. Scott's gone, dude. We've lost Scott.
I can...
God, I'm going to try to drink.
Oh, man. Lost. What are you going to drink? That's your
I'm
solution?
going to try to drink this.
Solution is
I don't
drinking?
know if it's going to happen.
Don't hurt yourself, man. It's not worth that.
It's pretty not good.
Pretty not good.
The initial is fine. That aftertaste is a killer, though.
It's always the aftertaste, John.
Oh. While you're doing that,
While I'm doing this, what are you going to do?
I'm going to go in this other room over here.
That's weird. Is he back? Hey, he's back. That's good. Don's draining the lizard, apparently.
Okay.
So
That's all good. I don't know what happened there.
I've been reading a bunch of Marvel Unlimited comics on my iPad.
Are you?
Yes. You have Marvel Unlimited? It's the greatest thing ever.
I get advertisements for it all the time, but
Really?
I don't read enough as it is probably to make it worth my while.
Make it worth it. Yeah, probably not. Well, I was thinking it would be cool to try. Well, I've been real behind on my Marvel comic reading, right? So I thought it would be cool to try and catch up. But the problem is I'm so far behind, I don't know where to start. So back in like 2012, Marvel launched like a Marvel Now thing where they kind of start everything over with a new #1 type of thing. So I started there. So I started there a few months ago. And so I've been trying to kind of just read through everything they published between that initiative starting and now. So what I've learned is that there's like an A list and a B list. By reading everything, I've realized like a lot of stuff is not that good. But anyway, so I've been reading Avengers by Jonathan Hickman.
Those are all on a D list, huh?
Nah, I'd call it B list. But Avengers by Jonathan Hickman, he's got like 2 Avengers series running, New Avengers and Avengers. At the time, I thought they were related, but they're really telling 2 different stories. Like the Avengers is telling like the story that leads into like this big Thanos event called like the Infinity thing or whatever. But then the New Avengers,
the Infinity thing.
But it's called Infinity. I thought it was a limited series.
Oh yeah.
And then the New Avengers, I think, is leading into what eventually becomes Secret Wars, which kind of reboots everything again. But anyway, I never read this before, but since it came out for the Marvel Now, The Fearless Defenders, which was by Cullen Bunn, who does The Sixth Gun, who we like.
Oh yeah,
Will Sliney.
And Will Sliney is the artist. He's not my favorite. He's okay, but this wasn't great. It's like I don't know why. This is one of those books I don't know why it exists. So you got Valkyrie as a character, and you got Misty Knight, and they added like this weird archaeologist lady. And then issue 2, which isn't here.
Bloodstone?
I don't think so. But issue 2 adds in like Danny Moonstar into the mix. Because I guess she used to be a Valkyrie. So I guess it kind of makes sense. But once again, these are 3 characters that I don't know why they're in a book together. Other than they're the Fearless Defenders.
You do the safe movie? And then you do the art movie, and then you do the safe movie.
I guess.
So that's Cullen Bunn's paycheck. That's what that is.
Must be. Fantastic Four.
like that.
There's 2 Fantastic Four series running. There's Fantastic Four and FF.
Yep.
Matt Fraction is writing both of them. They're both excellent, but they're totally different books.
Yeah.
Like Fantastic Four is about how the actual Fantastic Four went with the kids into like an interdimensional spaceship and are like traveling through space and time. And they got a B team to like cover for them while they're gone. They're only supposed to be gone for 5 minutes, and then they're supposed to pop right back because it's a time machine. Well, they're gone, and the B team...
This sounds like Gilligan's Island.
Right? And they're gone, but the B team was just supposed to be them for 5 minutes. It ends up being a lot longer than 5 minutes. So the B team has... Yeah, so the B team is like Ant-Man, Medusa, some chick they just found who Johnny Storm was dating at some point, and She-Hulk. And they got their own book. And they got that book running. That's called FF.
Do you remember when I read that?
I do. You read the omnibus, right?
I read the omnibus.
And you said it was really good.
Yeah.
So I'm excited because I like the team. Matt Fraction and Mike Allred. But anyway, and then there's this book, Cable and the X-Force. Like X-Force. They launched like 1,000 X-Men books for some reason. And this one is about Cable and the X-Force. And it's like Cable and Colossus and Domino. And then... that weird guy with the hat, like the scientist guy.
Phantom X?
No, not Phantom X, the other guy with the white hat.
Yeah,
you know
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think I bought that book.
I think Forge is in it too. It's a totally superfluous book. Has no purpose whatsoever except that Cable has his own book. And I guess Colossus has to have somewhere to go. But yeah, it's written by Dennis Hopeless, who's a kind of a semi-local guy.
LaRocca needed to get paid, dude.
And LaRocca needed to get paid. Okay, this book. Oh my God. Another Dennis Hopeless book. So, Avengers Arena. So, this is called Avengers Arena. So, they took all these like D-list guys, characters, and Arcade took them all and put them in like this arena, like a Hunger Games type thing. And got like 16 of them, 30 of them. I don't know how many. It doesn't matter. And he threw them all into like this virtual environment that they're trapped. They have to kill each other until there only one remains. So, I think it was just So I think it's just a ploy to like kill off all these D-list characters, maybe. But it's so if you're a writer and you have this concept, so every issue you're doing like a different backstory of a different character to try and actually give it some characterization, you know. Mm-hmm. So that's the strategy. And while you're doing the backstory, you're trying to move the main story forward a little bit, which is a good strategy as a writer. But it still is a book that has no reason to exist and really is not original in any way. And it's all these characters who you don't care about. Like, it's a couple of people from, like, the Runaways.
People like
and you got,
X-23.
like, X-23 and Darkhawk and, like, all these other people who I haven't heard of. It's just, it's ridiculous. I don't know why it exists. But I'm reading it. There's a few, my idea was to read all of the Marvel Now books as they came out. But there's a few that are going to start getting axed because they're just not good enough to even bother reading. A Secret Avengers, #1. So, Nick Spencer is writing this. So, it's basically Black Widow and Hawkeye get recruited by S.H.I.E.L.D. to be, like, secret S.H.I.E.L.D. agents to go on, like, secret covert missions.
Did you find out what happened in Budapest?
That's what I was going to say.
I don't know who
Is it
Budapest is. I don't know what that. I don't get the reference, but
From the movies.
From the Avengers.
From the Avengers movies. They keep referencing, that's just like Budapest.
I don't know, but they got like Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury in it, like his son, like he's Samuel, or he's Nick Fury Jr. or whatever. Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. It's okay. It might get better. That's my daughter sleeping.
Sleeping.
So they did the all-new X-Men, then they had the Uncanny X-Men. This is just photos, and so I have other photos interspersed. But speaking of, she was reading about a dewback while she fell asleep. I don't know if you saw that. But anyway, Uncanny X-Men #1.
That's
the Bacalo art is awesome. It's a lot of talking, even for Bendis. No, it's Bendis. Bendis took over the X-Men.
Right.
Hickman's doing the X-Men now.
Right.
And you said it's a lot of talking?
I know, right?
It is, right?
Oh,
it's crazy.
But it's okay. It's all right. Bacalo art pretty much will save anything, but it's still pretty decent. I mean, it really runs parallel to the all-new X-Men.
Well, that's an X-Men book, so I mean, I bought that.
It's pure. Yeah.
Superior Spider-Man.
Superior Spider-Man holds up, man. It's still really good. Like, it's a solid book. Like, with the craziest concept ever, you know what Superior Spider-Man is?
He's talking
to
Scott.
That's Doc Ock.
That's the Doc Ock Spider-Man. Yeah, it's really good. It's entertaining.
For 6 months, because he always brought that every freaking time.
Yeah.
Me?
Don?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you love that book.
See, Scott pays attention when I talk and review things.
All right, so I've been reading Daredevil as well. Because I always wanted to read the Chris Samney Daredevil run.
The Wade Samney? Yeah.
Samney is an awesome artist. I've decided that Wade is a horrible writer, and I don't like his stuff at all anymore.
Huh. Really?
Yeah, wow. I just kick him to the curb. I don't care about Wade anymore. This book is so full of plot holes and ridiculous things, and then he's writing Hulk too. I'll get to that, but I'm done with him. Huh. Thor by Jason Aaron and Esad Ribic.
God bless you, sir.
Still awesome. Holds up great. Thor is the greatest book. I can't wait to finish the whole Aaron run.
Yeah, I just have to read The King of Thunder or whatever.
Pleasant Surprise, Morbius the Living Vampire by Joe Keating. It's kind of interesting. It's so you got Morbius and he's running through the slums and he's taking down drug dealers and being helping the common man, in the slums. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of like The Wire meets vampires, superheroes. It's kind of interesting.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
More Avengers. Hickman.
I've never watched the
Savage Wolverine. I just love reading Frank Cho draw Wolverine and Shannon the She-Devil running through the Savage Land.
Yeah, but he only did 6 issues.
He did 5 issues. I don't know what happened after his 5 issues. Is that when Madeira took over for a run, or was that a different series?
I don't remember.
That was Avenging Spider-Man. Sorry. So yeah, we'll see what happens after Cho's done.
Yeah, I think it's.
This is the Captain America Remender run. This is not as good as I remember.
Oh, it's good.
It's still super good, but I think I built up my mind too much.
It's the Captain America.
It's a little dragged out.
Rick Remender in the John Romita where he goes into
another dimension.
Dimension X or whatever.
Yeah, and there's a panel from it. It was so good.
Scott can't see anything.
I know. Sorry, Scott.
That's why I'm trying to explain.
That's all good.
Nova, I really like Nova, the Jeff Loeb, Ed McGuinness Nova series. I dug it when it came out, and I dig it now. It's super good.
I didn't read it when it came out. Now
it's worth reading. I'm more Uncanny X-Men. Thunderbolts. Oh my god, dude, this is another stupid series. Okay, the Thunderbolts was initially Baron Zemo and all those guys. The concept was cool.
The bad guys turned good.
Yeah, and this is a similar thing. You got Punisher, the Elektra, then you got the Red Hulk, who's Thunderbolt Ross. And Deadpool, you gotta throw Deadpool in it because he's got to be in every book, right? And then a few other, Venom, Flash Thompson Venom version or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they're an covert ops, blood wetworks team, and they go on these missions. It's ridiculously stupid. I mean, even Steve Dillon, who's an awesome artist, the guy who did Preacher, the guy who drew Preacher, he's the artist, and even he's phoning it in. Yeah. It's it's horrible.
Getting paid.
Hawkeye by Matt Fraction and David Aja. That is an awesome book. I love that book. It's so great.
Have you read all of it?
That's Zach Running.
That is Zach Running.
Oh, FF. We talked about that kind of already. Uncanny Avengers. So Rick Remender, John Cassidy, great team. I just can't get into this book, man. I just feel like there's just not much there. I mean,
it's Avengers and X-Men
yeah,
on a team together.
And they made Havoc like the team leader.
I thought Rogue was the team leader.
And they're fighting the Red Skull, and it's just, I don't know. It just feels very, I don't know. There's just nothing special about it, it seems like. I don't know. It's okay.
I'll make sure and get caught up on that. Was that like your bank statements there?
Oh, Invincible Iron Man, or Iron Man, I guess. Kieran Gillen, Greg Land. So Iron Man's gone to like space, and he like, I guess because they killed the Phoenix, he's on like trial or whatever with some weird people, and so now he has to fight Death's Head.
I have no idea, dude.
Yeah,
Isn't Iron Man dead?
No, according to this, he's still alive.
Well, I thought Tony Stark like died like 15 times, and
yeah, I'm sure he has. Guardians of the Galaxy is restarting, so I'm getting into that. At point 1, it's the origin of Star-Lord. I like that issue a lot. It's McNiven does the art, and Bendis wrote it. I really dug that issue. Cable and the X-Force, yeah, and that same crap. Superior Spider-Man, good.
Hey,
more pictures of my kids. Avengers, Uncanny X-Men, Secret Avengers, kind of hit all this stuff.
Hey, there's a bill.
More Fantastic Four, Fearless Defenders. I think we've covered most of the stuff at this point.
Okay.
What else? Is there anything else we're missing? Let's keep going.
Are you watching this?
Scott? Oh, we got to Wolverine. So this is
yeah.
Paul Cornell and Alan Davis. I was like, and I did some research. I'm like, where did Paul Cornell come from? How did he get the job of writing Wolverine? Right?
They needed somebody to write Wolverine.
He's like a Doctor Who like writer. Like he writes for TV, and somehow he got the job to like write Wolverine.
Like, hey. They had like a day.
The irony is the art's awesome because it's Alan Davis, and it's like got this cool like alien story. So it's like he's like playing to his strength, like Doctor Who type stuff.
So is what happened was they had a day at the Marvel offices.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Hey, whoever, just come in and pitch us your Wolverine idea. We need to make a Wolverine book." And Paul Cornell like hit it out of the park that day, and they were like, "Damn, this dude's Wolverine story sounds great."
So Paul Cornell. You know, he wrote for, like, TV, Doctor Who, that kind of stuff. He did do the Captain Britain and the MI6, that limited series back then. Yeah. That's kind of the first stuff he did for Marvel, and he somehow turned that into a Wolverine book.
Right.
So there you go. All new X-Men, Bendis and Immonen. When Immonen does the art, this book is the best thing ever. When Marquez takes over, it's still pretty good. I really like the all new X-Men. David Marquez, I think, is the guy.
Yeah.
He does some fill-ins.
Hey, was that chicken?
That was fried ice cream.
Ooh, fried ice cream.
My wife said, take a picture of this fried ice cream. So I did.
Nice.
Yep.
There's your backyard.
Oh, all right, let's get back to Indestructible Hulk. So Wade is writing this too. This book is so stupid.
It started out good.
It's okay, and I think the next issue is Simonson, so at least the art's going to get good. I just feel like Wade is not a good writer anymore.
Didn't, what was the book that Aaron did, the Hulk book?
Oh, yeah, the one with Silvestri that he did?
Yeah, was that wasn't...
That was previous to
Was that Indestructible? What was the title of it?
I don't know.
I thought it was Indestructible.
No, Mark Waid did the Indestructible. So the Indestructible Hulk is a kind of an interesting concept. Like, S.H.I.E.L.D. has, like, given him a lab to, like, do all this sciencey stuff for Banner. And then when he turns to the Hulk, they're going to shoot him at, like, a problem and have him be, like... So for some reason, Wade decides to do, like, an Atuma, like, Atlantean-type story. So it's all underwater, which is stupid. And it's just... I don't know, dude. It's like,
underwater stories are stupid.
I agree. They totally are. But anyway...
I agree.
So...
Just leading to Aquaman.
That's kind of right. So anyway, so far the Marvel Now reread has been pretty decent.
Reread.
But yeah, I definitely feel like there's like a good... There's like the top tier and the bottom tier, and then there's like really bottom tier. But we'll see where we go. That's what I've mostly been reading.
I see.
In my bound stuff.
I'll do the Dollhouse. So I read the Dollhouse number 1, which is the second
Another
series.
Joe Hill book? But it's not written by Joe Hill.
No, that's what I said.
I like Peter Gross.
Right. Exactly.
Is that Mike Carey?
Mike Carey and
Why
Peter
does he
Gross.
have M.R. Carey?
I don't know. So
why wouldn't he just be by Mike Carey? Because I know who that is. I don't know who the fuck M.R. Carey is. Did he become a woman?
I don't know. I only read the first issue of the Dollhouse.
Is this like the TV show, The Dollhouse? Remember that? Where like Eliza Dushku?
It's absolutely nothing like that.
And she gets like turned into a... Is this a Sandman?
Hey, there's a Tauntaun behind you, Scott.
Is this a Sandman thing, like the Dollhouse storyline in Sandman?
No, it's
Does it
not.
have anything to do with that?
No. So there's this couple in England, and it's like in the 70s, and the guy's not a very nice guy, and they have a daughter.
Well, nobody in the 70s was very nice.
Right. Well, this guy like beats his wife and stuff.
M.R. Carey. I don't know why.
So this guy like beats his wife and stuff, so he's really not good. Nice.
I don't like people who beat their wives.
Okay, well.
That's rude.
So they're hanging out, and the wife's got a thing from like a long lost uncle or an aunt or whatever, and it's a dollhouse. It's like a real big dollhouse with little dolls inside. And the aunt died or whatever and gave this. It's been in the family for 100 years or whatever. It's like an antique.
Of course. And
so they give the dollhouse to their daughter, who's like 8 or something, I guess. I don't know.
God forbid they throw something away that's like evil and haunted.
Right. And well, they don't know it. In fact, the husband's
they don't know it's
haunted and evil.
Obs.
They're gonna find out though. They give this dollhouse to the girl, and so she's like, gives them all names and stuff, and the dolls like come to life and like play with, like, they're miniature, but they talk to her, and like she talks to them and stuff, and
tells them to kill her parents.
Exactly, dude. You should have wrote this book. So
nope,
she
M.R.
does.
Carey did.
She does get she like gets sucked into the dollhouse.
No way. That's cray.
And then like the voice of the dollhouse like talks to her, and it's like, hey, like, your dad's really not a really good guy, and he's gonna really hurt your mom, and you should take care of your dad, and
like take care of him, like
kill him,
yeah. Wow.
And
like,
if you take him out, like, you can live with us in the dollhouse forever, and you won't have to live in the room. So she takes a hammer and takes it to the back of her dad's head.
Story over.
That's where the first issue kind of ends.
Isn't that the end of the story?
It's the first issue. It's like 6 issues.
Oh, I wonder where it's going.
I don't know.
We're all out of stuff, Don. That's all you know.
Okay. Well, I only have a couple more things.
Well, let's get that knocked out, because I got beds to get to.
Okay. You ain't got nothing to do.
I got sleep to get to.
You can sleep all day tomorrow.
I can't sleep all day. I got kids. They like knock on my door and like wake me up.
You tell them to leave you alone.
They don't do it.
Your wife can take care of them.
She's in bed too.
All right, so this is
a computer.
This is the Joker.
Oh, did they make another Joker series? Wow, that's something
this
original.
is a one shot, and do you see who it's written
Joker,
by?
You're the villain, John Carpenter.
John Carpenter.
I'm not convinced.
And the art's by Philip Tan.
Are you gonna make it into a movie? Because John Carpenter's a filmmaker, not.
No, I don't know. He just did a one shot of the Joker. It's one issue.
Is it horrible?
It's not terrible.
As somebody who loves John Carpenter movies,
the art's cool.
I can't get into this.
There's a really cool panel where they do like an
Did
homage.
John Carpenter draw it?
No, Philip Tan did. I just said Philip Tan.
But I thought maybe he drew the one panel.
So there is this one really cool panel. Homage where they're climbing up.
That's the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah, where they're climbing up the building like in the old Adam West. Can you see it?
I do.
Okay, so the gist of the story, which this one is great. So the gist of the story is the Joker breaks out of prison, and there's a guy there.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and there's
the Joker broke out of prison? Wow.
And there's like a guy there, and he's kind of like his sidekick. So they go through this whole story together, and then the Joker. It's not a great story now that I start to talk about it. So then the Joker, they're at like at a convenience store or something, and they have Batman and Robin like costumes. And so the Joker takes him, and he dresses up like Batman, and he dresses the other dude up like Robin. And so they go around town, and they're just like robbing people and doing shit, but they're in a Batman and Robin costume. And then, somewhere towards the end, like the whole story goes like batshit crazy, pun intended. And the Joker pulls out a crowbar and just starts beating the shit out of the dude that's dressed up like Robin, like when he killed Robin in the comic.
Yeah.
And then it goes off the rails, but no, it really wasn't that good. The art was kind of cool. I wanted to like it because it's got John Carpenter's name on it.
Yeah, right.
So you want to like it. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't groundbreaking. Because I'm like reading this, like as I'm reading it, I'm like, this is John Carpenter. like John Carpenter's writing like a Joker
I don't
story,
feel
right?
like his strength
like,
is as a writer. Though.
I'm like, this could be epic. Like it could be like maybe there's like 0.5% chance that it could be like The Killing Joke, or it could be like Arkham Asylum. You know what I mean?
John Carpenter's
it's got like that
comic book writer.
It's got that
totally
name, and he's a storyteller though. All storytellers are storytellers, but it doesn't matter. If
it does matter.
It's a story
There's
based.
The Killing Joke is The Killing Joke. Alan Moore understands the comic book medium.
No, I understand that,
Do you?
but it didn't. It didn't. I wanted to like it.
I'm glad you paid your probably extra $4.99.
$15.
An extra $1 for it because John Carpenter wrote it. I had to pay him an extra $1.
$15.
Probably so.
So I finally got all of my
Wick Div?
Wick Div. I finally got all of
That's
my
what the
Wick
cool
Divs.
kids call it.
I know.
Div.
I know.
Do
I
you?
speak the
Because you tried to
language.
call it Wicked and Divine.
So Wicked and Divine.
This is
Wick
a
Div.
hardcover. So you got all the hardcovers?
I have them all. There's 3 of them.
3 of them. That's the whole story.
And it's the whole story.
It's the new Sandman.
It's the new Sand.
It's the new American Gods.
I guess. I don't know.
It's American
not...
Gods.
Really?
So I'm like reading this.
Neil Gaiman?
No,
It's Gillen. Kieran
Kieran
Gillen.
Gillen and Jamie McElvey.
Jamie.
And apparently they listed the colorist and the letter on the top.
Right.
That's
Cowles. We saw him before. So I think it's 3 hardcovers. This hardcover has the first 12 issues. And I remember reading like the first trade, and I'm like, this is really cool. Like, this is intriguing.
I read the first issue and it was cool.
And I'm like, they started coming out with these hardcovers. And I'm like, well, fuck it. I'll just buy the hardcovers.
Because it's going to be so awesome.
It's going to be so awesome, and I'm going to love it.
Oh, did you love Wick
read
Div?
it.
Is Wick Div like the new thing?
I'm
Are
like
you going to join like a Wick Div cult?
I'm like halfway through it, and I'm
Some
going,
Facebook groups?
should I really have spent all this money on these 3 hardcovers?
I don't know. Should you have?
I don't know yet. I guess we'll find out when I finish.
Why do people like Jamie McElvey
so like
much?
I don't necessarily. I like Kieran Gillen more.
But why do they like
probably
him so
than
much?
I don't know. Get on a message board of Jamie McElvey and find out why people like him. That's what I would do if I were you and you have that question. Because I can't answer it. So this is the first 12 issues. And like halfway through, I'm like, did I really want to spend all this money? Do I really want to invest all this money and time into this story? But then I pushed through, and it got a pretty
buzz.
It's got a pretty cool killer kind of twist in the 12 issue, like the 12th issue or whatever. So I mean, it's interesting. Are you familiar with the story at all?
It's about gods.
It is about gods.
Modern gods.
You are correct there.
It's like American Gods, isn't it?
I don't know what American... I mean, I know what American Gods...
Fuck? You don't know what American Gods
I
is?
know what American Gods is, but I have never read a book,
You've
an
read American
issue,
Gods, right?
or seen
Yes,
an
I've read
episode
American
of the
Gods.
TV show. So I have no idea what it is about.
American Gods is about like modern day gods.
Okay.
Is that what this is
It's
about?
kind of
the
what...
old gods.
That's kind of what
What's
this
that?
is.
Kind of fighting the old gods in a way.
Yeah,
or
fighting
the
the
old
old
gods
gods.
trying to not go away.
No, that's not what this is.
Well, this isn't the old gods fighting
So-
new gods, but it's about new gods.
Every 90 years...
90 years.
Every 90 years, these 12 gods, they reappear, they reincarnate, whatever you want to call it. And
It's Sandman meets American Gods.
and they're alive for, say, 2 years. And then they're there, and then they disappear. And then in another 90 years, they get reincarnated into another body of someone who's alive at this time. So, like, and there's, like, an old lady. I think it's an old lady. It looks like an old lady. And she's kind of like the keeper of the gods. So she's around she's been around forever. And so whenever
She's
the
like
cycle,
God.
whenever the cycle starts up, it's her job to go out and find them and then bring them into the fold. So they're like rock stars, they're like icons, you know what I mean? And they get to live like this. So you're just a normal person, like you're you. You're like hanging out, and then all of a sudden,
I'm a god.
you get the power of the god, and you're going to be alive for like 2 years.
What happens after 2
You
years?
die after 2 years.
Well, that
you just
sucks.
disappear.
What if I'm only in my 30s?
Yeah, well, some of them are like 16.
Oh, and they only get to live for 2
So,
Ooh,
but they
wow.
get like 2 years of really
God power?
fucking god power and
I
cool
think I
lifestyle.
take longevity
all kinds of
over
stuff.
like
Um,
they don't have a
would
choice.
you? No, they don't have a choice.
I would, but
And so, but then there's in this cycle, there's always been a rumor that if one of the gods kills the other god, they get their power.
Oh, so like a Highlander
more powerful, kind of like a Highlander thing. Like they become more powerful. I was
thinking the same thing.
So American Gods meets Sandman meets
Highlander. Yes.
Okay, sweet.
And there is someone killing the gods.
Is it another god?
I believe it is, but it's kind of like a murder mystery thing. They don't really tell you who it is, kind of, sort of. So it's Watchmen
meets Highlander meets American Gods
meets Sandman. Yes,
sweet.
Exactly.
Sounds like its own thing.
Greatest story ever made, created, known to man.
Well, that's
basically
better than Watchmen.
It's the Iliad of the 21st century.
Wow.
It's the Odyssey and the Iliad mixed together. So yeah, I mean the art's cool. I'm not a big fan of him, but I mean the art's decent. I mean it's not anything like great, but the story's pretty cool. I really like.
It's got interesting stuff.
I really like Gillen. I mean, I liked that Uber. That was Gillen, right?
Uber?
Yeah.
What the fuck is Uber?
It's that series that they did about the alternate World War II.
Oh, was that Gillen? It probably
I think it was
Gillen.
Yeah. I kind of like that.
That's what you're basing your Gillen
no,
on?
No.
Wow, Uber.
Ooh.
I liked Uber.
So,
that's like obscure reference, dude.
Did you watch Hunter? The Hunters or whatever?
Let's not, dude, focus on this. Let's get through this.
I'm done with it.
You're done with Wick Div. All right, we're done with our comic book reviews for the night.
On Prime? You didn't? Did you watch it?
No.
I haven't yet.
Oh my god, dude.
Oh my god.
It's a good show.
Is it?
That last episode though is just like a total twist. Killer. And just
you will not believe the last episode of season 3 of Ozark.
What the fuck? I was just like, holy crap, that thing took a complete turn in the last episode, and I was just like, how long do I have to wait for more of this?
10 years.
It's like, fuck me. But
you're screwed.
No, it was good. I liked it.
Cool. Way to sequitur that.
Right, exactly.
Wick Div to Hunters.
Wick Div to Hunters.
Yep. All right.
I guess
on that note, I think that's a good note to end because it makes absolutely no sense. Just like our podcast. Got anything else, Scott? Anything you want to talk about? Anything you want to bring up?
I got nothing.
Nothing?
Oh, but May the 4th, Rise of Skywalker is coming to Disney Plus.
Oh, I didn't realize it was May the 4th.
Yep. And the last episode of whatever show you guys are watching, that animated thing.
Invincible?
Clone Wars. And they're going to release like a documentary or whatever of the making of the Mandalorian.
Wow, they're really milking that one.
All on May 4th.
Wow.
It'll be the greatest May 4th ever.
I think May 4th is ruined
for me.
I know.
All right.
I understand.
May 4th can suck it.
May 4th can suck it.
All right. So, anyway, that's all we got. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Right in its...